Can you feel a shift happening? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Something we've been talking about for months. We're beginning to see some things happen, and the things we're going to share with you is ideal for you to be sharing with your clients. All right, well, we're excited to kind of give you an update on what we're seeing specifically on 30 days. We always talk about this. It's kind of the epicenter. Everything goes out from here. So the numbers that we're seeing, whether it be in Destin, whether it be in Pier Park, whether it be over on St. George Island, Gulf County, we're seeing the same, very similar things that we're seeing here. We're just going to use these numbers because they're handy and readily available for us to go through. So Price, let's kind of talk about where we've been first. We'll go in, then we'll go into kind of where we are and where we kind of see some things.
Sure. Where we've been? Well, golly, we've been probably in the hottest real estate market possible maybe in the country for the last year.
Yeah.
Things have just been on fire. We've seen rapid increases in pricing. And the number of transactions just go through the roof.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things where we've been saying this every month. I can go back. I was looking back. It's interesting to go back and look at some of the things. Like when we did this a couple, 3 years ago, I was re-looking at that. Just like we were like, I don't know. It just typically this is what happens, and then you don't know where it's coming from. It's literally like it's playing out exactly the way the book and the typical 18-year cycle says that it should. So where are we in that portion of the cycle, would you say, right now?
Well, we're in the entering the last 2 years of the ascending part of the market, I believe.
Yeah.
If it holds true, if the 18.6-year cycle holds true.
Yeah, and as we've talked about, sometimes everything's localized. We may be in, with everything that's happened in the world, it may be completely different this time.
Yeah.
You never know.
No.
We want to play the odds and be as informed as we can and provide that information. So let's kind of talk about that. Let's talk about some of these specific numbers that we're seeing literally right now on the monthly numbers that we're seeing and what that means.
Yeah, sure. Well, the first, we've been watching for the last year, because it would say that was, if the 18-year cycle holds true, that would be the, call it the most productive part of the cycle, where we would have 12 months or so, that was the hyper part. We have a dramatic increase in the number of absorptions, number of sales, and a dramatic increase in the number of price. So that came to pass. So we were watching to see what happened in June or July, which would be 12 months after that breakout. And then June, we saw that June to compare June 2020 to 2021, we had 168 sales. That's our little market of south of 98, all of 38 detached single family homes. 2021, we had 171. So that was the first time we hit, for 12 months, that we had not doubled or more the previous year's month's numbers. Right. So we saw a flattening there. July, we sold 228 in 2020, and we sold 139 in 2021. So it's about a 40-some% decrease in the number of transactions year over year. So that is noteworthy.
Absolutely noteworthy. Yeah, because typically you'll see the flattening and then you will see some type of a pullback in a typical cycle environment. We did see prices go up dramatically year over year. So even though we saw numbers of transactions, the total volume that was available for buy and sell, what did that number kind of roughly look like?
Well, when you look at 2020, you compare that to 106 June, you had $240 million in sales for 2020 June. Then 301, almost 302 in 2021. So the sales were roughly flat, but you had basically, a 20-some% increase in volume, and that's directly in line with the average price appreciation for the year so far, which is 22.71%. So that lines up there. In July, we had of 2020, we had 328.5 million, and then in 2021 July, 262.2 million. So still really close, despite being down, call it 40-45% of the number of transactions.
Right.
So really a lot of opportunity out there still.
Yeah, there's still absolutely a lot of opportunity, and the numbers still make sense. We've seen increases in our rental numbers go up dramatically year over year also. So from an investment standpoint on the buyer side, the numbers that look at what it looked like from an investment standpoint on your rents versus your pricing is pretty similar to what we we saw this time last year as far as the investment versus the investment.
Sure.
So no red flags right there as far as that goes. We're watching some things though, obviously, to see what happens over the next few months. What are we looking at with pending contracts? Because obviously we're looking at sales that happened a few months ahead. Pending for August, what are we looking at there roughly?
Well, pending, I guess a good way to look at pendings was, I believe, the number of of pendings peaked the week of July 12th. We had 496 pending homes at that point in time. Now we're down to 433.
Right.
So we're seeing, about a 15, 10, 12 to 13% decrease in the number of pendings right now.
Right. So now let's talk about, we've talked about kind of where we were, we've talked about where we are right now, what we're watching, month over month. Sure. We're really beginning to focus a lot on that, on the new pending numbers, which is what we only give this on Friday to all the agents, just to kind of, so they can gauge on what's going on. Also, let's talk about now. What is the typical cycle? What is the next 18 to 24? Listen, I know not everything's exact, but what is in a typical cycle the next 18, 24 months look like?
Well, typically what would happen is you would have the number of transactions decrease, and then the price still continue to increase for another couple years. But what we're seeing right now is something a little different than that, where maybe caused by this anomaly that happened, where we saw price peak out in March of this year at about $2 million, just a tick, $2,051,000 or something. And now we were down in June to about $1,776,000, but July it bumped back up to $1,008,000 something. So that's going to be something we watch there as that plays out, because historically, again, we should see price continue to go up and the number of transactions trend down for 18-ish months in the latter part of the ascending part of the cycle.
Yeah, and one of the things, obviously, perception is reality. So some of the things that we're kind of watching, also just to give you guys an idea, there was an article in Inman yesterday where Fannie Mae does every month, they do buyer sentiment, and so they survey potential buyers out there. One of the things that kind of goes in line with what you're talking about, in March it peaked where 52% of the people surveyed said that it was a great time to buy. And what we saw in June was it was at 32%, so it had been continuing. That was kind of the peak of that sentiment.
Lines up.
Yeah, it does. And listen, our market's a little different because we have so many people that desire to be here. They're purchasing legacy homes, so it's not sometimes as affected, but perception is reality. What we saw though last month in July, that went down to 28%, which is the lowest percentage of potential buyers that said it was a great time to buy. So buyer sentiment always plays into this typically in the cycle as we begin to come towards possibly the end of a big run. Is this just a pause to jump? Is this just a maybe something where it's a little squat to jump? We really don't know.
No, we don't.
But basically, the things we're going to be watching, let's specifically speak to that over the next few months, especially as we go into some seasonal typically. But the reason why we're looking month over year with month over month is because it lines up. It's not just that. So.
That's right. So we're looking at the number of homes for sale, actives, and then running an absorption rate from that to kind of see where that stands each month. We're watching the pendings, and we're watching the closed number of sales month over month and year to date compared to years past, and then also watching days on market. That's our barometer. Right. And we are seeing, the closed sales, which is interesting. Closed sales days on market continues to come down, but actives are starting to go up. So that could indicate a shift as well.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that's why we've talked about this in the past. And listen, a lot of these things that we're talking about are happening right now. You've been talking about for for 2, 3, 4 years on a typical environment. So it is playing out almost exactly.
Kind of scary.
It is. So we want to watch these things. We want to be there. So now let's talk about where's the opportunities. Where are the opportunities for agents specifically?
Listings are the opportunities, and taking listings and communicating to your seller what's happening in the market, so you price the property appropriately and you set the proper expectations. Critical right now.
Yeah, one of those things, I had an agent, we were talking yesterday, and they were like, well gosh, the comparable was this, and what we've been doing for the last 18 months, because it worked, was we were moving the price 4 to 5% above that, and even if it didn't hit immediately, just the demand, it was going to run into it. So now we're at a place where we're in reality, if we're doing our jobs, being the professional, providing this information and saying, hey, listen, you got to do what makes the most sense to you. Pricing the property at where the pricing has been is probably makes more sense than it ever has, or even a little.
I think right now, and I think you're absolutely, pricing at the last sale is probably good, but having a conversation with seller saying, hey, these are the things that we're watching. this is what we're seeing. Let's put this out there, price to the last sale, and set some time frame, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months in the future, where you're going to get back together and talk about what's happening in the market, because the market will literally scream at us if we don't have people, willing to write an offer, see this property in mass in short order. We know we've mispriced it. Right. So we need to get ahead of these things as a collective, as a company, so that we can be successful, versus sitting back and waiting.
Absolutely. Let me speak to this. We're speaking specifically what we anticipate, or what in a typical environment happens in 18, 24 months. We're extremely bullish over the next 5 to 7, 10 years.
You couldn't be in a better place to do what we do. Understand that. Just our business is cyclical. So that means it goes up and down, and we just need to be, we have to be aware of it. We can't stick our head in the sand and ignore what's going on. But yet we also don't want to, be overly dramatic about it either. We just want to watch and be calm, cool, collected, be the professional, be the expert, and share the information with our customers, both buyers and sellers, so they're aware of what's going on. Right. And let them know that this thing it can change. There's so many things in the world, in our country, that can affect sales and affect them dramatically. But right now, these are the things that are happening right now, and it's just it's the facts.
Yeah, and let me give you some opportunity what you should be saying to your buyers, because listen, when you and I were doing this, I can remember 2004, and buyers were just speculators, and it was like literally they were just trying to hold the hot potato for as long as they could, so that they could pass it to the next person and make as much as they could. There aren't as many speculators in our market.
No, there's not.
If you have clients that are speculating right now, it's your duty to say, hey, I don't know that this is the right time to do that. If you have people, though, which is the majority of our buyers that are buying legacy homes, that are buying with a 7 to 10 year period, listen, the numbers still make sense. The rental still makes sense. The lifestyle still makes sense. And now more than ever, we talk about that a lot of people that are buying on coastal environments, and especially in ours, they're not just buying for the numbers. They're buying for the things you can't put a number on, which is those family memories, which is that legacy, which is framing themselves in their children and their grandchildren's memories. They don't have time to wait 5 years for the numbers.
That's right.
They need to be in these places now. So we just want to encourage you. Find the people from a buyer's perspective. Don't let this discourage you from selling property to people, because, listen, we've now seen more than ever. We never know what the future holds. I will say this. The value of family, the value of the memories, and the value of what our properties and our areas give to families has never been higher when you don't put a number on it, the things you can't put a number on. So from that standpoint, buyers specifically, give them the information, but also show them how rents have gone up. Also talk to them about the fact that waiting, are you waiting to make more family memories when your kids are now too busy and your grandkids are too busy and they're doing travel ball and they're doing things and they can't utilize it?
Well, if I may, another part of that story is also giving them this tidbit of information, where back the week of March 29th, there were only 107 homes for sale.
Exactly.
Now there are 293 for sale. So with that type of increase in the number of inventory, mining through all these sellers, we may find someone whose level of motivation is quite higher than it was 1 week ago, 1 month ago, 4 months ago. You may find some softness. They get a bigger discount than what they've have expected, and they feel like you provided them a great service. They've hit a home run, and they're super excited. So I mean, there's tons of opportunity. Don't take any of this, again, as Jimmy said, as trying to put a wet blanket on what's going on. We just want to explain what's happening. There's tons of opportunity out there, and the story is a good story, because where in this country can you be that has sugar white beaches, emerald waters, relatively brand new, all the things we have going for us? None of that's changed. We're just, the market is starting to present itself in a different way, and to be redundant. It's just our job to communicate that and find the story in there that works for our buyers and sellers, to help them feel comfortable that we're able to help them solve their problem, whether sell a property, buy a problem, is that problem. And we're so fortunate, so blessed to be able to be in this type of problem-solving business.
Right.
As Jimmy would say, who's got it better than us? It's just a wonderful place to be doing this. And again, just so excited that we can sit here and share with you guys, and how grateful we are to sit here and say, oh golly gee, there was a 100 and, whatever it was, 39 sales last year in this little 18-mile stretch that generated $262 million. Jimmy, back when dinosaurs still roamed the land and he was selling property, there was only $36 million on 38 sold the whole year. So my, oh my, what a ride we found ourselves on. Enjoy it, have fun with it. We're just, again, the numbers are the numbers and the facts are the facts. They don't change, but we're still just here to serve people and help them.
Yeah, and I'll say this, we've all got buyers right now and people that have missed out. Great time to circle back to those folks and tell the story that Price just did about, hey, we were looking at 100 houses when you were looking in the spring. You got 3 times as many options almost now, and it may be the opportunity. We're starting to see that a little bit with the list to sale prices.
That's right. Down just a little from 99 to 98%. It's been at 99% for more than a year. And it just now dropped a point, so that it does show that there is a little more softness in the market than there was previously. And as Jimmy talks about so often, when we get to this part of the year, we have entered a point of ex-dividend where largely people have receive the bulk of their rental income, and what happens to a stock ex-dividend? Usually the price softens up a little bit. So we may see that. So man, I would really be, as Jimmy said, talking to your buyers and reaching out to either, the people, the agents that have properties that have been on the market 180 plus days that haven't sold, and maybe you've been watching them and see if that seller's beginning to soften a little bit. You may find an opportunity there.
I would totally agree. Listen, we are living in a time which I would have never believed. When we're sitting here, Price mentioned this, 1994, there was only $36 million total sales on all of 30A when I started. And now we're talking about, oh, woe is me with 200. And come on, man. What are we talking about? The fields are white. The workers are few. Have those conversations with your past clients. Talk to the people that own properties. Engage with some of those buyers that may have gotten a little frustrated that may now have an opportunity. If you'll do those things, I believe with all my heart, we're set up to have a fall that will knock your socks off. It's an opportunity really to get out there, add more value than been adding, continue to just build those relationships deeper, and I promise, not only is it going to look good in the fall, man, come springtime next year, ooh, this thing's going to be rip. So we're excited about that as well. Take care, guys. Let us know if we can do anything to help you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.